The deep black of space was endless, but the Zel'Rothi survey vessel moved steadily through it, scanning for anything unusual or unclaimed. The crew was tense and alert, their many eyes and sensors trained on the faint blips ahead. A human warship drifted silently, its massive hull battered and old but still formidable in shape and size. Lorik, the science officer, looked at the data carefully, his antennae twitching nervously. He had never seen anything like this before. The metal seemed to pulse slightly, as if the ship were alive in a way the Zel'Rothi had not imagined. Commander Lurok decided that the ship must be boarded. He ordered a small team to prepare while the rest of the crew watched from a distance, scanning for traps or signs of life. The air inside the survey vessel felt heavy with expectation. Each Zel'Rothi was aware that humans were powerful, but seeing a ship like this up close caused a strange fear to settle in their minds. They prepared their equipment, energy rifles ready, and shields activated, their hearts beating faster than normal. As they approached the human warship, the hull appeared scarred from many battles, yet still strong and intact. There were no signs of damage that would have destroyed it completely, and that puzzled them. How could such a ship survive so much? Lurak signaled the boarding team to move in slowly. The entry hatch was sealed, but their tools cut through easily, revealing a dark corridor inside. The hallway was quiet, but not empty. Strange markings, unknown to the Zel'Rothi, lined the walls. The team advanced cautiously, scanning for life signs. They found none, only a few scattered logs and devices. Lurok examined the logs and discovered recordings of humans named Daniel Hart and Megan Riley. The entries told of a final battle, a fight against enemies that had outnumbered them greatly. The humans did not survive, but their actions left a lasting impression. The Zel'Rothi struggled to understand the logs. The humans wrote about courage, sacrifice, and strategies that seemed almost impossible. Lurok and his team could not believe such small beings could do so much with such limited resources. As they moved deeper, the ship's systems reacted to their presence. Lights flickered on, and a low hum filled the corridors. The aliens tensed, unsure if it was a trap or a warning. Suddenly, a holographic display activated, showing the face of Daniel Hart. The figure was calm and clear, speaking words the aliens did not fully understand but felt deeply. The hologram seemed alive, moving, and looking directly at them. The Zel'Rothi froze, unsure how to respond. The ship's systems were not just automated, they seemed intelligent, aware of their presence, and ready to act. The boarding team took cautious steps, trying to access the command core to understand the ship's capabilities. The hologram observed silently, making no sudden moves but creating an atmosphere of immense tension. Lurik realized that this technology was beyond their comprehension. Even without a living crew, the ship felt alive, guided by the minds of humans who were no longer there. The aliens could not hide their fear. Each log, each hologram, each signal seemed to suggest that humans could do things that defied the Zel'Rothi understanding. Despite their own advanced technology, they felt small and fragile in comparison. They continued their investigation, moving through the ship room by room. The corridors twisted and turned, filled with strange machinery and dormant defense systems that hummed with quiet power. Every step was a careful calculation. Lurok tried to communicate with the main console, but the system resisted, protecting itself in ways that were unfamiliar. The aliens debated whether to retreat or push forward. Fear and curiosity battled within them. They were scared of what humans might be capable of, and yet drawn to the secrets of the warship. Outside, their own ship orbited quietly, ready to provide support if needed, but they felt it was useless. The human technology inside the warship seemed beyond any help they could offer or receive. As they reached the central control area, Lurok noticed more holographic projections of human crew members, recording messages that described the ship's final moments. Each log spoke of bravery, cleverness, and resilience. It painted a picture of humans as fearless and almost unstoppable in their own way. The Zel'Rothi could not comprehend how beings so small and fragile-looking could create such power and intelligence. The fear in the room grew stronger, mixed with awe and confusion. Lurok understood that they had discovered something that would change their perception of humans forever. Even without a crew, The ship itself was a weapon and a record of human determination. They would have to report this, but how could they describe what they had seen? The human warship was not just a vessel. It was a monument to human courage and cleverness, a silent testament to what these beings could achieve. The Zelrathi knew that this encounter would haunt them for a long time. They were careful not to damage anything, moving slowly, taking every precaution. Even a single wrong move could trigger the ship's hidden defenses, and they were not sure they could survive it. The boarding team continued to explore, documenting everything they could, each finding more astonishing than the last. Machinery hummed, holograms spoke, and logs revealed acts of heroism that were almost unimaginable. Lorek recorded everything meticulously, aware that these records could never fully capture the living presence of the ship. As the team worked, they could not shake the feeling that the humans, though gone, were still watching through the systems they left behind. The warship was a puzzle, a challenge, and a warning all at once. When the exploration finally ended for the day, Lorek gathered his crew and shared a silent understanding. They had seen something that would change their view of humans forever. Fear, respect, and curiosity were intertwined in their minds, and they knew this was only the beginning of a larger mystery that stretched across the stars. They returned to their own vessel, but the warship remained behind, a silent sentinel floating in the void. Its presence was haunting, and the Zelrathi could not shake the feeling that the humans who built it had left something more than technology behind. They had left a piece of themselves, strong, clever, and unyielding, and the aliens would never forget it. The Zelrathi team moved carefully through the empty halls of the human warship, the hum of the ship's systems echoing in every corridor. Lorek led them, feeling a strange mix of fear and awe. The logs they had discovered spoke of humans named Daniel Hart and Megan Riley. The stories in the logs made the crew uneasy. The humans had fought bravely against overwhelming enemies, and their courage was almost unbelievable. Lorek tried to understand how such small beings could accomplish so much. As they walked further, the ship's systems continued to respond to their presence. Lights flickered, doors opened and closed automatically, and strange noises made the Zelrathi wary. Every corner seemed like it could hold a hidden defense mechanism. Lorek instructed his team to move slowly, scanning everything carefully. They found more personal logs, equipment, and data devices. The more they examined, the more they learned about the humans. Daniel Hart had been a captain making difficult decisions under pressure, and Megan Riley had been an engineer, keeping the ship running even when it seemed impossible. The Zelrathi were impressed, but the more they learned, the more they feared. They began to misinterpret the logs, thinking that humans had some way to continue fighting even after serious injury. Each entry they read added to their confusion and alarm. The humans seemed almost invincible, capable of actions that the aliens could barely comprehend. Lorek tried to calm his crew, reminding them that humans were mortal, but the signs on the ship suggested otherwise. Dormant defense systems lined the walls, waiting silently for activation. The Zelrathi could not tell which systems were dangerous and which were harmless. Their scanners indicated energy signatures that seemed to pulse with life, and they hesitated at every step. The deeper they went, the more complex the ship became. Each room held new machines and technology that did not resemble anything the Zelrathi had seen before. They tried to interface with the ship's command core, hoping to understand the systems better, but the technology resisted. A holographic display suddenly activated, showing a projection of Daniel Hart speaking calmly. The image was clear and lifelike, moving as if he were there in person. The crew froze, unsure whether this was a trap or a real human. The hologram explained that the ship had safety protocols and would respond to unauthorized interference. The Zelrathi misread this, thinking that humans could control the ship even after death. Panic spread among the boarding team, and some wished to retreat immediately. Lorek ordered them to stay calm and continue, but fear made their movements stiff and cautious. They moved from room to room, documenting everything carefully, trying to avoid triggering the ship's defenses. Each discovery amazed them. They found machinery that seemed able to repair itself, systems that responded to voice commands, and devices that stored vast amounts of knowledge about human warfare. The logs revealed that humans had fought against enemies far stronger and more numerous than themselves, yet they survived through intelligence and teamwork. The Zelrothi could not understand how humans could survive so much danger. They saw courage in the logs, but their minds twisted the information, imagining that humans were immortal or had special powers. Luruk observed the crew closely, noticing their growing anxiety. They were frightened not just by the technology, but by the stories of human bravery. Each corner seemed to hold a new mystery, and every system suggested that humans were capable of more than any alien had thought possible. Despite their fear, they pressed on, examining the ship's control center. The room was filled with panels, holographic displays, and strange devices they could not name. Energy ran through the floor and walls, giving the room a quiet hum that felt alive. Luruk tried to access the main database, but the ship's defenses activated in small ways. Doors closed suddenly, lights flashed, and alarms sounded softly. The hologram of Daniel Hart remained calm, explaining procedures and protocols. The aliens misinterpreted this as proof that humans could control life and death. Their fear increased, and some suggested leaving immediately. Luruk insisted that they continue, needing to understand the ship fully. They explored further, finding more evidence of the humans' intelligence and bravery. Megan Riley's logs described how she kept the ship functional under impossible circumstances, repairing engines and systems while under attack. Daniel Hart's logs told of strategy, leadership, and sacrifice, painting a picture of humans who were determined and fearless. The Zelrothi could not reconcile their fear with reality. Their minds created visions of humans who could not die, warriors who could continue to fight no matter what happened to them. Every piece of technology, every hologram, and every log added to this fear. They moved cautiously through the ship, documenting everything and reporting back to their vessel. They spoke in quiet tones, careful not to disturb the ship more than necessary. Each room held new surprises, weapons that seemed dormant but deadly, engineering systems that could fix themselves, and logs that described acts of bravery beyond their understanding. As they explored, Luruk began to realize that the humans had left something behind that was more than technology. The warship itself was a monument to human resilience, courage, and ingenuity. The holograms, logs, and machines worked together to create an impression of life, as if the humans were still present. The Zelrothi team could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. Each step felt observed by unseen eyes, each action measured and responded to by the ship's systems. Fear mixed with awe in their hearts, and even the bravest among them hesitated. They reached the main control center, where the largest and most complex devices were located. Holograms of Daniel Hart and Megan Riley appeared frequently, giving instructions, explanations, and warnings. The aliens could not fully understand the language, but the tone, posture, and calmness of the projections conveyed confidence and authority. The Zelrothi were terrified. They imagined that humans could rise from death, control the ship's defenses, and act with superhuman intelligence. Luruk tried to calm them, insisting that this was just clever technology, but his words did little to ease the fear. They continued to examine the systems, careful not to trigger any major defense. They documented every finding, knowing that this knowledge would change their understanding of humans forever. When the exploration ended, they gathered in a safe area, discussing their findings. Fear, respect, and awe filled the room. Luruk knew that they had discovered something extraordinary. The human warship was not just a vessel. It was a record of bravery, intelligence, and resilience that had created the impression of life even after the crew was gone. The Zelrothi could not explain how humans could be so strong, so clever, and so brave. They returned to their own vessel, carrying data and logs, but the memory of the warship haunted them. Every report, every hologram, every log told a story of humans who were capable of acts beyond imagination. The fear of the unknown, combined with the undeniable evidence of skill and courage, left a mark on the Zelrothi forever. They would never see humans the same way again, and the warship remained in their minds as a symbol of the power of life, intelligence, and bravery, even in the face of death. The Zelrothi team continued moving through the human warship with caution, their nerves tense and eyes alert. The hum of the ship's systems filled every corridor and made their antennae vibrate. Lurok led the team, carefully scanning each room, each device, and each hologram they encountered. Suddenly, a holographic display activated before them, showing Daniel Hart standing as if alive. His calm voice echoed through the corridor, giving instructions to maintain the ship's safety. The Zelrothi froze, uncertain whether this was a living human, a trap, or advanced technology. Fear gripped them. Their scanners indicated no life, yet the projection moved, spoke, and reacted to their presence. Some crew members whispered nervously, imagining that humans could control the ship even after death. Lurik instructed them to stay focused, reminding the crew that it was only a projection but inside. He could not deny the unease that settled deep in his mind. They tried to access the main command core, hoping to learn more about the ship's defenses and capabilities. As they touched the consoles, lights flashed, doors moved, and alarms sounded softly. The projection of Daniel Hart spoke calmly, explaining protocols and restrictions. The Zelrothi, however, misread the display and believed that humans had some ability to continue fighting even after injury or death. Their fear grew, and a few members suggested retreating immediately. Lurik insisted that they continue, knowing the mission required them to understand the ship. They moved from room to room, documenting everything, scanning every system and device. Each new discovery seemed more advanced than the last. Self-repairing machines, automated weaponry, energy shields, and devices that stored massive amounts of information were everywhere. The humans who built the ship were clever, resourceful, and brave. But the Zelrothi saw these traits as signs of supernatural abilities. The logs they discovered told of battles, sacrifices, and strategies that seemed impossible. Daniel Hart had led the crew with courage, making decisions that required intelligence, intuition, and bravery. Megan Riley had maintained the ship's engines and systems under extreme stress, performing repairs while under attack. The Zelrothi struggled to understand how such small beings could achieve so much. They imagined humans as almost immortal warriors, capable of rising again if they fell. The deeper they went, the more the ship seemed alive. Machines responded to presence, lights flickered, and holograms appeared unexpectedly. Every action felt observed as if the humans were still present in some form. The boarding team felt their fear deepen with each new discovery. Lurik observed them, seeing their hesitation and alarm. And he knew that the humans' legacy was creating a misunderstanding that could change the Zelrathi's perception forever. As they entered the main control area, the room expanded before them, filled with consoles, panels, energy fields they could not comprehend. Holograms of Daniel Hart and Megan Riley appeared, giving instructions and explaining systems. The aliens could not fully understand their language, but the confidence and authority in the projections conveyed power and intelligence. Panic began to spread. The Zelrathi imagined humans could manipulate the ship at will, control life and death, and act with powers beyond their understanding. Some crew members moved toward the exit, but Lurik stopped them, insisting they continue documenting everything. They were learning something extraordinary. Each room told a story of human ingenuity and bravery. Machines that could repair themselves, defense systems that activated in precise ways, and holographic logs all combined to create an impression of life. The humans, though gone, seemed present in every corner. Lurok realized that the ship itself was a monument to human resilience and courage. The Zelrothi had seen warships before, but none had left such a lasting impression. They continued exploring, their fear mixed with admiration. Each new system, each new projection, and each log added to the sense that humans were more capable than anyone had imagined. Lurik noticed that the crew's movements had become cautious and hesitant. They spoke in whispers, careful not to trigger any system or hologram unnecessarily. They recorded every detail, knowing that this knowledge was precious and dangerous. The holograms seemed to respond to them, speaking calmly and giving guidance. The Zelrathi, however, misinterpreted this as proof that humans could continue to operate the ship even after death. The fear in the corridors grew. Every step felt like walking through a living machine, guided by the minds of humans who had once commanded it. Lurek tried to reassure the crew, but even he could not ignore the feeling that the ship was alive, aware and watching. They explored the engine room next, where Megan Riley had worked tirelessly to keep the ship operational. Machines hummed, lights flickered, and automated systems moved to maintain the environment. The Zelrothi could not comprehend the complexity. Every device had a purpose, every system worked in harmony, and every log showed intelligence and bravery. The crew of the survey vessel began to share nervous glances. They imagined humans rising from death to defend the ship, controlling machines and holograms in ways beyond their understanding. Lorek documented everything, recording images, sounds, and energy readings. Each piece of data added to the story of human courage, intelligence, and resilience. They moved back to the central corridor, where the largest holographic displays appeared. Daniel Hart's projection gave instructions calmly, showing how the ship would react to threats. The Zelrathi were terrified. They imagined that the humans could control all systems simultaneously, a power they could not resist or understand. Lorak continued to lead them forward, careful not to trigger anything that could endanger his crew. They explored the ship room by room, documenting every discovery. Energy weapons, shield generators, self-repair systems, and logs of human bravery filled their records. Each discovery reinforced the belief that humans were capable of extraordinary feats. They finally reached the bridge, where the main control console dominated the room. Holograms of Daniel Hart and Megan Riley appeared frequently, explaining procedures and giving instructions. The crew of the survey vessel could not fully understand the systems, but they felt the power and intelligence behind them. Fear mixed with awe, creating an overwhelming atmosphere. Lorak realized that humans had left a legacy beyond technology. They had left courage, intelligence, and determination that persisted in the systems they created. The Zelrathi could not shake the feeling that humans were still present, watching, guiding, and protecting their ship. As they prepared to leave the warship, they gathered their data and logs, their minds filled with new knowledge and lingering fear. The holograms remained calm, watching silently as the aliens departed. Lurak knew that the Zelrathi perception of humans had changed forever. The warship was not just a machine. It was a testament to the bravery, intelligence, and resilience of a species that could achieve the impossible. Even after the crew was gone, their presence remained, leaving an impression that would haunt and inspire for generations to come. The team returned to their vessel, their movements careful and deliberate. They shared quiet conversations about what they had seen, about the humans who could fight against impossible odds, and about the fear that humans could continue their work even after death. The human warship drifted silently in space, a monument to courage and cleverness, leaving the Zelrathi with a story they would never forget and a fear that would linger for the rest of their lives. Megan Riley and her small human recovery team moved cautiously through space toward the derelict warship. Their shuttle glided silently, scanning for foreign signals or movement. Megan had led many missions, but this one felt different. The human warship floated lifelessly, yet the sensors detected activity that made her frown. Something about the energy readings did not match the empty ship. She directed her team to stay alert and keep weapons ready, but she could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they approached, they intercepted strange transmissions. Alien voices, full of fear and confusion, spoke rapidly about humans and impossible abilities. Megan realized the Zelrathi had boarded the ship and misunderstood everything. She ordered her team to stay quiet and analyze the situation. They moved closer, scanning the area around the warship. Energy signatures pulsed faintly, and the shuttle's instruments indicated that the aliens were still inside. Megan knew they had to act carefully. The humans did not want to start a fight unless necessary. As they docked, the Zelrathi suddenly detected them. The aliens were in a panic, whispering and moving frantically. Their fear was clear even over the comms. Megan's team watched silently from inside the shuttle, observing how the aliens reacted to the presence of humans. The projections and logs on the warship had created the illusion that humans were powerful beyond reason. Lurak and his team misread the holographic displays and logs, imagining humans could continue fighting even after death. Megan smiled faintly at the misunderstanding. It was an accident, but she could see how fear could grow from confusion. She directed her team to prepare for boarding. They moved slowly, keeping shields up and weapons ready, but with a calmness that was natural to them. The aliens scrambled, retreating toward the outer corridors of the ship. Megan's team entered. The warship, stepping carefully over debris and scanning every room. The ship was silent except for the hum of its systems. Holograms flickered on automatically, showing Daniel Hart giving calm instructions. The aliens interpreted this as proof of human power. But Megan understood it for what it was: advanced technology designed to maintain order and safety. Her team moved to the main control center, observing the Zelrathi from a distance. The aliens were confused and terrified, unsure if they were facing real humans or some supernatural force. Megan's presence clarified the misunderstanding, though she did not make a sound. They continued to analyze the systems, taking notes and recording images. Every piece of equipment was advanced, yet manageable with human knowledge and skill. The aliens misread the holograms as active human commanders, controlling the ship even from beyond death. Megan realized that their fear had grown from a mix of respect, misunderstanding, and the advanced nature of the technology. She signaled her team to continue documenting everything while avoiding confrontation. Lerock and his crew stumbled backward as Megan's team approached. Their panic increased when they saw real humans moving confidently through the ship. The aliens' fear intensified, and some attempted to flee. Megan's team allowed them to move past, observing carefully. The aliens' reactions confirmed what she had suspected: the warship's systems and holograms had created a legend in the minds of these beings. She allowed them to leave slowly, making no sudden movements. Once the Zelrathi exited, Megan directed her team to secure the area and move through the ship methodically, examining logs, systems, and holograms. The projections of Daniel Hart and Megan Riley appeared frequently, giving instructions and explaining protocols. The human technology worked perfectly, responding to their presence without hostility. Megan felt a sense of pride as she observed the systems. They were clever, safe, and powerful, but not dangerous to humans who knew them. Logs of Daniel Hart and Megan Riley, reading the accounts of courage, sacrifice, and determination. Each log described how humans had faced overwhelming odds with intelligence and skill. The team marveled at the dedication and ingenuity of those who had built and maintained the warship. Megan realized that the Zelrathi's misunderstanding had grown from seeing only part of the story. The combination of holograms, logs, and advanced systems had painted a picture of humans as nearly invincible. The aliens had misinterpreted every signal and every projection. Megan's team continued to move through the ship, analyzing every system and device. They discovered dormant defenses, advanced machinery, and energy sources that powered the ship efficiently. Every discovery reinforced their respect for the humans who had designed and operated the vessel. They moved to the bridge, where the main control panels were located. Holograms of Daniel Hart and Megan Riley gave instructions clearly, responding to actions automatically. Megan's team documented everything carefully, knowing that these records would be important for future missions. Outside, the Zelrathi watched from a distance, still full of fear and confusion. They had believed the humans could control the ship from beyond death, but now they saw real humans handling the systems with skill and calm. Megan allowed them to observe, making no sudden gestures. The aliens' panic began to fade slightly as they realized there was no supernatural power at work. The warship remained silent except for the hum of machinery, yet the memory of fear lingered in the Zelrathi's minds. Megan and her team finished their survey, collecting logs and data while leaving the ship in perfect condition. Continued to operate, every system remained functional, and the warship awaited its next mission silently. As they prepared to depart, Megan reflected on the encounter. The Zelrathi had been frightened by misunderstanding, but they had learned something important about humans. The warship was not just a vessel, it was a testament to courage, intelligence, and resilience. The humans who had built and operated it had left a mark that extended even to alien species. The shuttle left the derelict warship behind, carrying Megan and her team back to the human research station. The aliens remained, confused but alive. carrying with them stories of humans who seemed more powerful than they could have imagined. Megan smiled faintly, knowing that misunderstandings could create legends and fears. But she also felt proud of what humans could achieve. She transmitted a report to her commander, detailing the encounter, the aliens' reactions, and the state of the warship. The data would be analyzed and shared, preserving the story of courage and ingenuity. The warship drifted silently in space, a monument to the humans who had built it, and to the misunderstandings that could make legends across the stars. The Zelrothi would carry fear, awe, and respect for humanity, while humans would continue to explore, study, and learn. Megan Riley and her team returned home, knowing they had completed a mission that would be remembered not just for the technology, but for the courage and determination of those who had created it. She understood that humans had not acted with aggression, but had shown capability in a controlled and intelligent way. Her crew marveled at the silent power that had been revealed, and at the precision with which the Sentinel array had managed the situation. The lessons taught were clear. Human space was not to be entered casually. Yet it was not a place of wanton violence. Diplomat Ryan Carver worked tirelessly to communicate the nature of human space to other species. He prepared detailed reports and transmitted messages explaining that humanity valued peace and protection, not conquest. Ryan emphasized that the Sentinel array acted as a guardian, providing subtle interference to ensure caution and respect. Alien leaders listened carefully, some with relief and others with awe. Ryan understood that trust would take time to build, but the foundation had been established. The demonstration had shown that human space was controlled by intelligence, foresight, and restraint, and that these qualities were the source of both fear and respect. The galaxy began to see humans not as unpredictable aggressors, but as guardians of a domain that required understanding and caution. Claire worked to ensure that the Sentinel array remained adaptive, capable of responding to future threats while maintaining control and precision. She observed how the system adjusted its responses based on the behavior of alien fleets, allowing careful observation without unnecessary escalation. The intelligence embedded in the array allowed it to communicate subtly, conveying lessons without direct engagement. Claire reflected on the ingenuity of humanity's ancestors who had built such a system. Understanding that it was more than technology, it was a form of diplomacy and strategy that extended across generations. Human space had become a place where caution, respect, and understanding were enforced through intelligence and foresight rather than through force alone. On the horizon, Laura recorded every detail of the interactions, noting the effectiveness of the Sentinel array and the behavior of the alien fleets. Her crew observed how the fleets altered their courses, adjusted their formations, and communicated with one another, all while respecting the boundaries enforced by the array. Laura realized that human space was now clearly defined in the galaxy's understanding, not through treaties or declarations alone, but through the demonstration of intelligence and controlled power. The silent power of humans had created a new standard, one that combined strategy, foresight, and responsibility to ensure safety and stability. Ryan continued his diplomatic efforts, engaging with alien leaders to explain the lessons learned from the demonstration. He emphasized that humanity's goal was not to instill fear, but to ensure peace and protection. The combination of Claire's management of the Sentinel array, Laura's observations from the horizon, and Ryan's communication efforts created a comprehensive understanding across multiple species. Alien leaders began to adjust their policies, sending fewer reconnaissance missions and approaching human space with caution and respect. The fear that had surrounded humanity for generations transformed into a cautious respect rooted in evidence and understanding. Ryan noted that diplomacy, intelligence, and controlled demonstration had achieved results that words alone could not convey. Claire monitored the array. As it continued to adjust to the retreating fleets, the system remained intelligent and precise, capable of observing future intrusions and responding with subtle measures. Claire marveled at the foresight embedded in the technology, recognizing that humanity had created a system that communicated lessons, enforced boundaries, and protected space without unnecessary violence. She understood that the array would continue to shape the galaxy's understanding of human capability for generations, teaching restraint, caution, and respect to all who approached human space. The silent guardianship of the array had become a symbol of humanity's intelligence and responsibility. Laura and her crew continued their patrols along the borders, documenting anomalies, fleet behavior, and energy fluctuations. The horizon became a witness to the ongoing evolution of human space, observing the subtle ways in which the Sentinel array communicated with alien fleets. Laura noted that the fleets moved cautiously, maintaining safe distances, and avoiding areas where interference had previously occurred. The galaxy was learning that human space was controlled, intelligent, and guided by principles that prioritize protection and stability. Laura felt a deep sense of responsibility, knowing that humans had set a standard that others could follow. Creating a new era of interstellar understanding, Ryan prepared to return to the Federation Council with his reports. Summarizing the lessons learned from the demonstration, he explained how the Sentinel array had acted to protect human space, how alien fleets had reacted, and how communication and diplomacy had reinforced understanding. The Council listened carefully, realizing that humanity's reputation for fearsome capability was not exaggerated but based on precise, intelligent, and controlled measures. Ryan emphasized that the lesson was not one of aggression, but of responsibility, intelligence, and foresight. The galaxy had been shown that human space required respect, and that such respect could be achieved without violence. As weeks passed, alien fleets began to report their experiences, sharing stories of the Sentinel array and the lessons they had learned. The reputation of humanity as a powerful and intelligent species spread, rooted in evidence rather than rumor. Ryan, Laura, and Claire reflected on the events, understanding that the galaxy's perception had shifted. Fear had transformed into respect, caution, and curiosity. Humans had demonstrated their ability to protect, observe, and communicate through intelligence and precise action. The silent guardianship of human space had achieved its purpose. Ensuring that boundaries were understood and respected, Claire continued to oversee the Sentinel array, ensuring that it remained adaptive, intelligent, and aligned with human principles. The system monitored potential threats, providing subtle interference to maintain caution without escalating conflict. Laura continued her patrols, observing the galaxy's new understanding of human space. Ryan maintained diplomatic channels, reinforcing lessons and sharing insights with alien leaders. Together, they ensured that the galaxy understood the reason for humanity's fearsome reputation. It was not born from cruelty, conquest, or aggression, but from intelligence, foresight, and responsible guardianship. In the end, human space had entered a new era. The Sentinel array served as a silent guardian, teaching lessons through controlled action and precise intelligence. Alien fleets approached with respect and caution, and the galaxy understood that humanity's fearsome reputation was rooted in preparation, capability, and restraint. Claire, Laura, and Ryan reflected on the delicate balance they had helped maintain. Knowing that humanity's legacy was secure, the galaxy would remember the lessons of this era, that human space was powerful, intelligent, and protected, and that respect, caution, and understanding were the keys to navigating it safely. Humanity had stepped forward as a reluctant guardian, its silent power serving as both warning and promise, ensuring that the galaxy would think twice before entering its domain without permission.